It's cute.
Glad to see you. Hi, Joanne. So,
Hi.
um, welcome to Tea Time, Kieran. This is your first time. We've been doing this kind of as a social activity and an educational activity to get to know the community now that we can't go have a cup of tea with each other.
Yeah,
I'm
Uh,
here.
great idea.
yeah, it's been really, I enjoy it every week. It's one of my favorite things of the week. I was going to introduce a few people. This is Beth. No, she,
Hi,
and
Beth.
she's in California. Um,
Mhm.
and then my dad is there and looking pretty
Looking
summery.
dapper.
I was uh,
my, my
Phil.
first short sleeve shirt of the year.
Yeah, feels good, right?
Yeah, I have this one, but I'm covered because it's not quite warm enough. And then this is Susan. You're down in California as well. Um,
Hello, I met you in DC a number
I
of
was,
years
I think
back at a convention.
I think I've met everyone here. I think.
yeah.
One
Oh yeah,
time.
and you know Joanne from UL probably. Yeah.
Hi, Joanne.
Edith just joined us.
Hi, Edith. I definitely, yeah, I think I know everybody here from one place or another.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm excited to have Kieran. I got to know her. I spent a year in Limerick, not in college, so I got to kind of enjoy and play. And it's probably one of my favorite years of my life. And I got to spend a lot of that time with Kieran and some fellow dancers, learning from each other and kind of discussing a lot of stuff. So excited to have you here.
Thank you. I was thinking about that time too. It was 2004, 2005, and Malden had already finished her master's at UL, but I was doing my master's at UL at that time, and Malden was living in Limerick and we were both immersed in dance, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. We really did. I don't know how I managed to squeeze all that fun in around because I was doing a contemporary dance master's degree, which was really intensive. But we used to go set dancing. We used to go to set dancing classes, and Malden was teaching a great Shanos class. And there were a handful of other dancers. Like we just became friends, and there were like-minded people around. So it was a very happy time. I agree. Yeah.
Very fun. I've been thinking about that. I was thinking about that today. It's rare to like musicians kind of have that a lot of times because there's a lot of like musicians together in certain places, but dancers were spread out a little more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
That's
harder
true.
to get that like on a regular we had it on a daily basis almost.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was fun that you weren't in college at that time, but you were kind of hanging around. So you were kind of like, I don't know, just like dropping in and out of lectures or workshops. And it was nice. Like it felt like you were kind of a link to the community. It wasn't just this insular college world. You were more like in the community and introducing me to some great things too. Like we went to the Shannos Dance Festival and competition up in Rossmuck. We went there together. We shared a B&B room, and I remember that the shower. Do you remember the shower?
I don't know if I do. Was it an immersion shower?
Maybe. I mean, it had the string and everything, but it was like there. The shower was just like a shower head in the room. Like there wasn't a separate bathroom, so there was sort of like a shower spigot right in the room and kind of like a curtain around it, but there was no like separate
That's
bathroom. You just had to kind of shower like this because you'd be like, I don't want to get the water all over like the rest of the room. That was fun.
Oh, I don't remember that. It might be because I grew up with kind of showers like that, so sometimes things like that don't phase me, like an outhouse or your shower camping bag shower in the
Yeah,
yard. Like
yeah,
whatever. I don't remember that at all. It's great. Yeah, what I remember about that trip is I had gotten my accordion. I left it in Galway to get it tuned, and the guy that tuned it wouldn't take the case. So I was walking around Connemara with an accordion case with no accordion. I felt like the biggest fraud, and everybody kept saying, "Hey, we accordion," because they knew what it was and they wanted me to play it. And I'm like, it's like my dance shoes and my undies and my clothes and stuff. I just shoved everything in there. Yeah.
Well, so some other folks have joined. So hi to everybody. I don't know. I don't know if I know. Now I'm not sure if I've met everybody, but nice to be with you all.
I think joined. Yeah, Christina has joined. She's down there. She's in Portland.
Hi, Christina.
We
Uh,
met Kieran after a concert that Sam Cater had you in for.
Oh
Like,
wow,
we
yeah,
met
cool.
this backstage. We chatted for a second, but we haven't actually
Yeah,
interacted much.
wow, all those good times, travel times.
and then this is Simon here. You're in England.
Yeah, in Southern Hampshire, right on the coast.
Oh, I've seen you dance, Simon, on
Yeah.
video.
Oh God.
Yeah, nice.
Good.
After that conference, I think that was last year or the year before.
Oh yeah.
The percussive
Step,
dance conference. Yeah, I
stepping
saw.
on conference.
Yep, I saw videos of you
Oh,
dancing. So nice.
good.
So, what have you been up to, Kieran?
Well, a lot of Zoom, a lot of Zoom. Yeah, what would you like to know about like recent activities during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, for those who don't know me too well, I'm in Boston and I teach. I've been teaching for like 20 years now. I teach old style step dancing and I also teach senos, and I do have a background also in choreography and contemporary dance. So I teach a little bit of improv and movement, but most of my activities are in the world of Irish dance. Um, so it's been super crazy for me and crazy for everyone, just to have like all of those. The part I'm finding the most challenging is to like have all of those community events just temporarily gone, you know, Kaylee's workshops, the student events, like I would host student parties, holiday parties, St. Patrick's Day events, um, regular gatherings. So I converted most of my activities to Zoom right around this time last year. And yeah, it's odd. It's odd how it works. I mean, I do feel like it works in a way, but of course, it doesn't allow us to, you know, dance together or have like that real like music and dance exchange in real time. But it does allow us to stay, you know, seeing each other's faces and having a chat and learning. Like I'm impressed at how much my students are continuing to learn entirely in this format, and I'm also grateful that it's allowed me to keep working and giving me, you know, a schedule. So I have like classes on the calendar and regular things that I have to prepare for and prepare to do. And I suppose like one aspect of this that's probably been the most gratifying is I run a group in with my group in Boston called the Dan Fury Sundays. We do the material that we've learned from Michael Tuberty, old style steps that we've learned over the years from Michael Tuberty. He's become a really close friend, and like I'm just a friend and inspiration, kind of a mentor to me. And some of you have probably been on those gatherings, maybe Edith, maybe I think, and um, but I just recently made a film about it. I made a documentary about it, which just came out in the last couple of weeks. So that's been kind of busy and fun to make that and launch it. And it just tells the story of Dan Fury, who was dance master in West Clare, and how Michael and his wife Celine Tuberty became acquainted with him, and how really like through Willie Clancy Summer School and through Michael and Celine's touring, um, this small little corner of Labashida, County Clare, and this repertoire that was very specific to this local area, like reached the world through Willie Clancy Summer School and through Michael Tuberty's touring. And that's how it reached me through um, both of those events. And I've been teaching that material now to my students for like 10 years. And the documentary is about how that group in particular has stayed together on Zoom in the pandemic, and not only stayed together, but really grown. You know, we have people from Ireland and all over Europe, like including Eastern Europe and Japan then, and New Zealand and Hawaii and all over Canada and the United States. And it's it really does feel like a family, like a community of people united around this very specific repertoire of dance steps. So the film was a lot of work, but as these projects are, it's you're kind of like, why did I get into this? Why did I say yes to this? And then it comes out and it's done, and you're like, oh, that feels really good. So that's what I've been up to recently.
One of the things that I've gotten a lot of feedback from students is that they are able to maybe focus a little more or concentrate more now that it's on Zoom. Some of them are saying that it's they don't have the distraction of all the other students in the class, or that they seem to be able to practice a little more. Have you had that experience at all?
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot, and like you know how like a lot of classes are very mixed level, right? You may have people, if you call it intermediate, that could mean any number of things, right? And some people have more experience and some people have less. So people with more experience, they can be muted and like go ahead and practice more intensely or practice more at a faster tempo. Um, I think a lot of adults in particular, they don't want to put the camera on their feet, which for me as a teacher is frustrating, because I'm like, come on, you know, we're in it together. Like, let's see your footwork. That's what we're here to do. But if it makes them feel more comfortable to be able to not show their feet and just work at their own pace, that's a good thing also. So I'm hearing feedback like that. Of course, like Boston last year, or maybe it was right before the pandemic, Boston was named as having the worst traffic in the world. So people appreciate not commuting, of course. And my studio location is kind of hard to get to. It's in you kind of have to go through Boston. It's I appreciate that. Like I don't like commuting either. So the fact that we can all just be in our own spaces and log into a class, I think it makes attendance better. It makes people more apt to show up. You know, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And being able to reach dancers from all over, like talking with you guys this morning and not taking a 6-hour plane ride to get there.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, for the folks who don't have, you know, a Shanos dance teacher near them,
Yeah.
they can take, you know, from anybody in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes our community and our discussions richer, like to have Simon here in England, or like, you know, just people from all over. It does. It's like expands our worldview, and it makes us feel like we're part of something that's global. We're connected. It's kind of, it reminds me a little bit of like when I was a adolescent, like 11 or 12 years old. I had a pen pal in Spain. Remember, like that, writing letters, you know, to a friend in Spain. And like when I would get these letters from her in the mail with the international postage on it, like it was something really exciting about that. It expanded my worldview. So it feels a little bit like that.
Anybody have a question for Kieran?
Yeah, Kieran, how do we see your video on Tuberty?
Oh, it's on YouTube, and I can send Malden the link, or you know, it's very easily found. You can just type in. I would maybe just type in Dan Fury
Okay.
and my name, and you'll find it there.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll put a link to it on this tea time for you guys.
Yeah, it's a half an hour, so it's a lot of interviews. There's old footage, and there's Zoom footage, and there's a lot of interviews with members of the group. And yeah, I don't know. It's a half hour, so it's not like something you breeze through in 5 minutes while you're scrolling. It's funny because I'm finding like some of my own students, even the ones who are in it, haven't watched it, and I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, this is our film, this is our story. But I mean, people are online, I think, so much right now that to even find a quiet half hour to devote to something where you're not scrolling and multitasking is a challenge. So
Yeah.
I would say find the quiet half hour because it's worth. It's a story, there's a progression and a sense of storytelling to it, so it's worth watching in one sitting.
Mm.
I just happened to have it open on, so I put the link in chat.
Oh, thank you, Edith.
Great, thanks.
Can I ask something, Karen? I'm interested in learning from somebody like Michael, that you want to preserve the style, but also, you've got your own dance history, contemporary dancer, traditional dancer, and you have to develop your own personality in it. Do you ever find there's a conflict between the two things, maintaining the sort of history of it, the dance history of it, but also being true to yourself as a dancer?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I feel like this question is coming up a lot recently. So I think what I feel about that is that I am I'm most trying to be myself. That's what matters to me most as a dancer, as an artist. Like, I want to be authentic to myself. As a sean-nós dancer, I'm not from Ireland, I'm not from Connemara, and I'm not an Irish speaker. And so, a lot of sean-nós dancers would say, I'm not a sean-nós dancer. That's fine. I'm not really interested in like the labels. I'm just trying to be authentic to how it comes out of me and how I connect with the musicians or the audience or whatever kind of story I'm trying to tell with my dance. Same with contemporary dance. Like, that's such a vague term in a lot of ways. Contemporary dance, there's like ballet, and then there's like modern dance, which was really considered an American, like, it is a historical, it's rooted in the dancing of like Isadora Duncan, Martha Graham, Doris Humphrey, the early pioneers of American modern dance. And contemporary dance comes after that. So it's like kind of a movement in the 1960s and 70s where people were saying no to technique, no to stylistic genres like the Graham style or the Cunningham style, definitely no to ballet. So a lot of things in contemporary dance are about like stripping down style and genre and allowing the inner impulse and the spirit of improvisation to come through. So I actually find a lot of parallels in contemporary dance and sean-nós because, again, it's like in both forms you're not doing like a formulaic prescribed technique. You're trying to connect to that moment of spontaneity. If you're working with a musician, like that live here and now dialogue. So I love improvisation. I feel probably at my best when I'm in that moment doing improvisation, whether it's what we contemporary full body movement or sean-nós. And then in terms of traditional Irish step dancing, that's what I grew up with. So I started Irish step dancing lessons like in an Irish dancing school when I was 5 years old. And I love that still because I feel like that's my first language in dance. As I went on in high school, I took a few tap dance classes, musical theater and drama. You get exposed to different things and you either kind of keep on that path or you just have this little exposure and go on a different path. But I still love, traditional Irish step dancing, hornpipes, jigs, reels, and more in the hi Shirley, and more in the like the old style, which is what Michael Tuberty teaches. So if I'm doing that style, I'm true to that style. I don't feel the need to like change it or improvise. If I'm dancing these 5 hornpipes that came from the lineage of Dan Fury through Michael Tuberty to me, I'm I guess you could say I'm preserving that repertoire and that style. Um, yeah, I don't know. Does that answer it a little bit?
Yeah, this, it just interests me. In England, people like to learn um, so these little clog routines that were taught by dancers that were found by the researchers, um, and when people dance and then they hand them on again and hand them on again, it's like Chinese whispers, and things change and things happen. Um, and it's kind of nice to pair it back to the original source, so you're true to that. But also, if you're dancing them yourself, there's things that come up within you, just little ways. There's a routine I'm working on at the moment, and the little break on the end of the sequence, I like to put my foot position slightly different than the old dancer Alex Woodcock I learnt it from, just because it's me. But I know people will say, oh, that's not how Alex danced it. But, when I learned from him, he'll say to me, this is how I do it. Now you do it your way, boy. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really important because it's just we don't want students to feel like constricted. Like we also I think we don't want to create identical copycats of ourselves. Like we want to bring the person out. You know, we're trying to say, here's the steps. Okay, it's very important to understand the rhythm, to understand how the steps connect to the music, to feel that groove, that connection in the body, and make that clear for the audience. Steps and music go together, and that's the beauty of percussive dance. But um, if you put your foot in a slightly different way, or yeah, there's like one of Michael Tubridy's steps where he does like step step with the back foot, and it's in back. Well, I can never remember that, and I always go step step with my foot in front instead of in back. I don't think that's like a crime.
no,
You
no.
know,
And
it's how
also,
it's how it comes through me. But I will say though, as a teacher, I do feel a responsibility as a teacher to pass it, especially with those steps, like to pass on the legacy. And Michael's repertoire is really unique because he has published these wonderful videos and books of himself. You know, it's an incredible resource. Um, so as a teacher, if I'm teaching those steps, I say like, this is how I learned it from Michael Tubridy, and this is how he dances it. Yeah, so I think there's room for all of those things, all of those approaches.
and there's also the age thing as well. He's a man of a certain age. And when I learned from Alex, he was in his 70s, and he would say to me, well, when I was your age, I would dance it a lot different. So um,
Yeah,
it, you can freeze frame things, can't you? And kind of make that as a sort of, that's how it should be. But really, it
yeah,
had been different to that previously.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I learned a lot of my Shannos dancing from Aidan Vaughn, who's from West Clare, and he's a set dancing teacher, and Shannos battering, it would be his specialty. You know, the battering steps that you would do in set dancing from his local area. But he said all that to me right at the beginning. Like he said, well, you make your own of it, you find your own signature, you find your own signature steps. And the way he learned was not by being taught. He really expressed this loud and clear to me. He said he learned by watching. And so just by watching, you kind of absorb things, but you're not doing an exact replica. You're not. You're kind of taking a good guess, and then you refine it and it comes out in your own way. So I found a lot of freedom in that. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to like, it's a subtle thing because I'm not trying to turn it into tap dancing or make it Ottawa Valley and flamenco. You know, like I'm not doing that. I'm trying to be true to what is an Irish style, a Shanno style. Um, but I'm still enjoying the creativity and the freedom that I can put into that.
Chris,
Thanks.
I know oh, sorry.
I was just saying, it's just lovely to hear people talk about dance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to be with like-minded people too. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Edith.
Edith.
Yeah,
I
I think
noticed your use
Edith
of the
and then
word,
Jane.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Edith. Yeah.
I noticed your use of the word story. And I was actually just talking to Mats Melin about this same subject because I was picking his brain about Hebridean dance and what is authentic and what the style should be. And he used the word story. So I noticed you using it. And I wondered if you'd like to talk a little bit more about that. Like sometimes when dancers dance, like Simon, when he dances, I frequently see a story, but I just started thinking more about that. And then when you used it, I just want to talk more about it.
Okay. Hang on a second. I'm going to turn my light on because it's kind of shadowy here. And is everybody's hearing me okay and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, it's nice to see you, Edith. Edith was in one of my, or a couple of my Zoom sessions last spring and summer. So yeah, so I think it can range. I have created some dances where there's like a narrative story. I'm just thinking right now of a duet that I created with Nick Jensen. You might remember that duet, Malden. It's from a long time ago now, but it was a kind of a flirtatious duet. It was a hornpipe mixing a hornpipe with some swing dance and Lindy Hop. And, you know, in the process of making that duet, like we each kind of settled into a character. Um, there's like a place where we have a little call and response in our steps, and there's like an anger, sort of an anger frustration exchange, and then like we come together at the end, and it's kind of like a whimsical flirtatious duet. So a dance like that had a very obvious stage, kind of a stage story. But I do think that even like um, if I were dancing like one on one with a musician and improvising in Shannos, I think there's a story in that too. And it might not be, it might be something that emerges as we do it. It might not be something that's like, okay, here's the script, here's the character, you know, that's not the case. It might be more like, where is this tune taking us and where is the dancer choosing to respond to that? So in that sense, I'm using the word story in more of a more of an open kind of metaphoric sense. And then I've made like there's another dance I made called Three Ducks and a Goose. The tune is a set dance that was written by Brendan Tonra, and he actually wrote lyrics. He wrote a story to go with his tune. So in that tune, I'm creating percussive steps, and I'm trying to mimic the movements of the ducks and the geese. You know, that was a unique project. So not every dance is like that specific, but it's a nice thing to think about, you know, when you're dancing, like think about, is there a story in this? What is it? It could be a very simple story. Like I went for a walk on a sunny day. That's the story. Or it could be much more concrete.
Well, you actually use the word in talking about Shannos dance, your own story.
Yeah.
It's like connected with style.
Yeah. It's kind of, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? As you know, you're telling a story with your feet and with sound and movement.
And it's kind of your journey and interpretation of the music you've heard and where you've come from and where you've gotten the steps,
Yeah, all of that.
your past and the lineage of what you're passing on.
Yeah.
We did recently an exercise last term. We were working with dancing to voice, and
Oh.
ended up using Kunla as a piece. And we took I think 6 weeks, and it was Beth actually that had the idea to make the dances match the lyrics. So we had each thing kind of represented, like the window and the sheets. And oh, Beth, I think you're on mute.
Oh, raking the coals,
Oh,
tripping up the stairs. It was fun. It was trying to make our feet reflect what was going on in the lyrics.
great.
I just have to ask, since I know a couple of different versions of Kunla that can be translated a couple of different ways, there's at least one version that would be really fascinating in terms of breaking down the fences as to how you interpreted that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about raking the coals too. That was like, depending on where you put that in the song, that could be a little woohoo.
What is the song or the tune that you're referring to? I'm not sure I know it.
the Freeze Bridges or Kunla?
Kula. Beth can
Yeah.
sing it. Would you sing it, Beth?
Oh God, would I sing it? Who is that there knocking the ditches down? Who's that there knocking the ditches down? Who is that there knocking the ditches down? Only meself, says Kunla. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Kunla. Who is that there tapping the window pane? Who is that there tapping the window pane? Who is that there tapping the window pane? Only meself, says Kunla. Kunla dear, don't come any near to me. Kunla dear, don't come any near to me. Kunla dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Kunla. Who is that there raking the coals of me? Who is that there raking the coals of me? Who is that there raking the coals of me? Only meself, says Kunla. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Kunla. Who is that there tripping the stairs of me? Who is that there tripping the stairs of me? Who is that there tripping the stairs of me? Only meself, says Kunla. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Kunla. Who is that there tickling the thighs of me? Who is that there tickling the thighs of me? Who is that there tickling the thighs of me? Only meself, says Kunla. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Kunla. Who is that there pulling the sheets off me? Who is that there pulling the sheets off me? Who is that there pulling the sheets off me? Maybe only meself, says Kunla. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Kunla dear, don't come any nearer me. Maybe I shall, says Kunla. Deedly dee 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 deedly deedly da da do do do. Deedly dee 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 deedly dee dee deedly do do, etc.
Yay.
That's only the 6 verses that we worked on, but there's a whole bunch more.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that's that. There's a
I can
story.
see Shirley getting ideas there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I originally learned it, Beth. I learned it in Irish, and I learned it. Well, nah, I can't remember it in Irish. But the way I learned it, you could kind of rearrange those verses.
Oh yeah.
So you could kind of end up with breaking the bridges down as the last thing that you did after the taking off the sheets and tickling the
Right.
thighs, and it just started. The possibilities became amazingly fascinating.
Fruitful.
Anyway,
fun.
Yeah, and there's a debate as to whether Kunla is a mischievous house spirit or Kunla's a gentleman caller, or there's lots of interpretations.
It's a song from, I first learned it from Sean Williams because it comes from Joe Heaney's repertoire. And there's a great version of Joe Heaney and Seamus Innes singing it back and forth.
Wow.
That chronic. So Joe's singing it in Irish and Seamus is singing it in English.
That's a great idea. Great. So I'd love to see your project. Like I'd love to see the dances you came up with.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Some of them were a bit of a stretch. And some of them got a little complicated, but you could hear there's a real like beat to it.
Yeah.
So that made it easier. And Andrea and I were kind of playing around with the idea of one of us singing a verse and the other one dancing, and vice versa. But we haven't really gone very far with it.
Great. I actually have a it's funny that this has come up because I want to show a video too of myself dancing with lilting with mouth music. And I think the reason I thought of it is because it's with Paul Moran, who is a dancer that Malden and I both know. And it was that same trip, I think, to Ross Muck when we were hanging out with him. So would it be okay to show a video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, does anyone else have a question did you have another question, Shirley, or before I do that? Or no?
No, I can also just email you the question later on. It's just asking for your perspective as somebody who also comes from both a step dance and a shannos and old style background, but I won't take up your time here. I'll just email you with it.
Oh, that's okay. And I noticed that we're recording here because I think I was talking about some of those themes when you joined in. So maybe the recording would address some of it actually. I'll show this video. It's short, it's 2 or 3 minutes, and then we can talk some more. So give me 1 second here. So this was in 2019. 1 sec. That's funny. It's not letting me.
Did I do it?
Oh, do I need to be a host?
Yeah.
I think I gave you permission there.
Let me try again. No, it's not letting me.
Multiple. Shoot, I have it on the multiple. Do you want to give me put the address in the chat and I can share it on my side?
Yeah, great. Okay, hang on a second. Still can't multitask on all this.
Yeah, we've been. It's really interesting to play with that, like dancing with the voice and working with a lot of the breath that the voice allows.
That's great. All right, so here's the link.
Okay.
So before you start playing it, I'll just say, so my husband Vincent and I, we were in Connemara for a painting event that he's a landscape painter. So we were there for his not mine. And we visited Paul Moran, who's a shannos dancer and a musician and singer who lives outside of Galway. And I had been really sick the last few years with Lyme disease and not dancing a ton, and we just went for a cup of tea and to have a visit. Like we didn't plan to do any dancing or anything. And I didn't actually know that he was like a really amazing lilter singer. So we talked about it during the visit. And then when we were getting ready to leave, I don't remember which one of us said it, but we were kind of like, oh, well, let's try one, let's do a lilting and a dance. So it was totally unplanned, unrehearsed. And I'm wearing these like flats, like they're not dancing shoes, like they're flats that kind of don't stay on my feet very well, that kind where the heel is sliding off. So that's what I'm dancing in, and he's just sitting there with you can see all the teacups and everything. So it's really got that kind of feeling of the home and the connection of the body, like the feet and the voice, no instruments, no shoes. So anyway, I like it. So ready when you are, Malden.
I'm on mute. I think I might have the wrong one queued up.
Oh yeah?
Is it it says Dan Fury?
Oh no.
No.
That's
Is that it?
No.
No.
Oh, was that the link Edith shared?
That might be the one that Edith shared. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, that was great.
I'm so glad you gave us that link because I was looking for it recently and couldn't find it. And so I have it now. I bookmarked it.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, yeah. I think. I mean, and I think right now with the pandemic, like those moments are so precious. Those memories are so precious, and we know we'll get back to them. But God, it feels like a long time since we've been able to have that type of connection.
Yeah, it's very different when you're used to your dancing being a response to play, a response to musicians or to a voice or to another dancer,
Yeah,
and to not be able to have that.
that's true. Yeah.
Go what?
Yeah.
Talking to yourself.
Are you okay? Yeah. Are you guys all are you all part of Malden's regular classes? Like is this a group right here that you all see each other regularly?
Some maybe, some not.
Yeah.
A lot of us used to, yeah, at the Kaylee, we'd see each other.
Yeah. 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 Is everybody finding ways to kind of keep connected to whatever parts of it you want to keep connected to, music or dance or learning? A little bit. I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard. My one of my students said to me the other day, she's really she's someone who's really motivated right now. And we all go through phases. You know what I mean? Like there's times when you kind of are like so psyched about your dancing, you're signing up for every class and going to everything, and other times when you're busy and you can't do that, or you just kind of interest waxes and wanes. But she's really into it right now, and she's part of the Dan Fury. She's part of my classes, and she's part of the Dan Fury group, and goes to everything. And she said the other day, like, we have managed to stay together. Like, it's been a year. It would be very easy to just drop away and turn our attention to other things. But like these little Zoom things and whatever, these little projects you're working on, like we have managed to stay together. And when we meet again, we won't be strangers to each other. And I thought, God, that's really nice. That's worth something. Because I don't know, we've lost a lot of venues here in Boston too. Like our we had two Kaylee venues. One of them closed right before the pandemic because the building was sold and it's being developed into luxury condos, and then we had this other beautiful hall that was sold, and after it was sold, it actually just burned down. So it was very dramatic, and we've lost, like, a lot of dance studios have closed and everything. So It's been tough. It's definitely been tough. But we're still together. Like we still see each other and dance together on Zoom, and we'll find other venues will spring up and we'll open up. And
Yeah. I found it one of the things that's happened, a lot of people that I've wanted to keep in contact with but haven't been able to as much or just didn't. I was like, oh, we have Zoom now. I can, like Joanne, who's here and she's in, where are you, Joanne? Listen, Varna? Yeah, I
Yeah.
meet once a week on Zoom and talk.
oh,
And
that's great.
it's been like 12 years since we've seen each other. So that's been really
Yeah.
nice to be able to oh, I can do that. That's, it just, you don't have to be down the road to have
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is, we had this technology beforehand too, but I think it just didn't occur to a lot of us, or we weren't home, like we weren't around to take advantage of it in the same way.
Yeah.
And
I've
of
been, I've
course,
been doing that. Oh, I was just going to say that not as a dancing group, but well, the people who set dance at the Plow and the Stars in San Francisco every month have started one of the guys started a Zoom meeting a year ago, almost at the beginning, and that's been going every week. And it's just it's a talking thing, but there's usually he'll have a couple of people play music. And so they'll play for an hour and then we can pay them through PayPal and then we just chit chat the rest of the time. So it's as if we're still, like you said, we're not going to be strangers when we meet again. We all know what's happened, who's bought a house and who's been here and who's been there. It's really nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been dancing because my schedule changed and I couldn't do any of Malden's things. But we have same thing. Some of the local musicians have got Zoom sessions going, and so I've been playing music more than I've been dancing for the last year. That's great too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little more practical in some ways too. Like the dance part is hard, especially social dancing.
I know we were doing I'm not doing it this term, but we were doing a calling class where people could kind of practice and work on their calling skills. And I invited a lot of the Kaylee dancers from Salem who wouldn't have maybe the set dance background. So it was even more of a challenge to learn how to call and even to dance, not get dizzy and you don't have that pressure of another partner that you're working with.
That's great. Great idea.
Yeah, it's been fun. We'll get back to it. We're just taking a little break from it now. But it's keeping the dances in your mind. And it is, some of them are very hard to visualize where the other 7 people are and to keep it working. But it's a different mind.
I don't teach much Kaylee dancing or set dancing. Like I do it at a festival or I do it now and again, but it wasn't part of my like regular teaching roster so much. So I miss that. I just miss being part of it, being part of the set dancing community. And I guess for me, because I've always had more of a focus on the solo footwork and solo steps, and then like I've done lots of collaborative stuff using contemporary dance and choreography and more theatrical settings and stuff. So for me, like the set dancing world was where I could just be. Like I didn't have to be in charge. I didn't have to be running it. I mean, I have run Kaylee's and I've helped organize lots of Kaylee's and events and stuff like that. But mostly I think of it as a place where I just get to show up and be part of the community and part of the experience of being a dancer and not in charge. So I really miss that. And I'm sure that my mental capacity of remembering those sequences is, I haven't done it at all this year. But that's the power of the group, because whenever we get back to it, I'll just be like, I'm the side lady and I will follow along and it'll be fine. Phil, were you going to say something before? No. Oh, you're muted.
it slipped my mind.
Yeah.
But I went out and last night to live music,
Oh, wow.
and a couple of Christina's friends were dancing there. They brought a board out,
Oh,
dance.
wow.
So they
Was-
were just, doing their steps. It was gorgeous.
Oh, that's good to hear. Was it indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Okay.
You know,
Great. Yeah.
the musicians were playing in a kind of gazebo. Great music too. Great music.
Great. Good idea. Yeah. Oh,
And
that's good.
but I've had a hard time dragging dancers even outdoors, to meet. They just don't want to leave their house right yet,
Yeah.
even to go to a park.
Yeah. We did a little outdoor dancing. My students are doing some like without me. We did a get together last summer, but like the place that we picked when we got there was another like group of teenagers hanging out there and stuff. So it's like you can't really predict what's going to happen in a
Yeah.
public space like that. I'll try a little bit again. I found another good spot that's has more, it's sort of like one of those boardwalk planks, but it's in good condition. It's not one of those beat up ones. It's a more recent renovated kind of one. So we'll try some outdoor dancing again soon.
I tried to do a set dance on a baseball diamond
Okay,
with the musicians on the mound,
cool.
but you can't drag enough people out yet
Yeah, yeah,
to make
it's
it work.
yeah. I did some outdoor like dancing with musicians last summer, just one on one and on a outside and 10 feet apart. That was great. That
Yeah.
was that was nice.
Anybody else? We've got about 10 minutes left. Are there any things that you're dying to ask, Kieran?
I just have questions for Kieran. So that when you're dancing to the mouth music, had you heard that piece before or that music? Did you know it at all?
No, I mean, well, I'm familiar with those tunes, but he didn't say to me ahead of time, these are the ones we're going to do. He just went for it, and I followed.
So, but when you started hearing them, you kind of recognize them.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Can you? So, do you dance or do you like to dance to tunes you don't know at all?
I guess no, not really. Like if it's a tune I don't know at all, I wouldn't feel ready to dance to it. Um, yeah, yeah.
And then I also have a question about. I told you I love your Star in the Sunshine hornpipe, and it obviously came out of playing around and improvising, but it looks so polished. So I was curious how much of that on stage was actually improvising and how much was prepared.
So maybe we should share that link too for others to see. Well, let me answer the question and then I can pull it up later. It's two hornpipes. They were played by George Keith, and it was also a one-on-one. It was just me dancing and George playing the fiddle.
When he
So
so awesomely, he's just great.
he is great. He is. I'm so lucky to know these people who are great musicians. But so that was his idea. They're very flourishy, flowery, ornate tunes. And as soon as he proposed those two tunes, I was like, oh yes, I can see what this has a story to it, and I can see what this would be. And I did a lot of improvising just to get to know the tunes and get to generate some step ideas. And then I really set it. So it was very choreographed by the time we performed it. So there's some sean-nós kind of steps in it. There's some step dancing steps in it. It's a real blend of those things. So it might be interesting, like for those of you that had questions around that, it's a blend of step dancing and sean-nós movements, and also, a little bit of theatricality. And but I definitely had a choreographed map in my mind, and I practiced it a lot before we performed it.
So another question I have for you is, so you learned to dance when you were young, and you learned sean-nós when you were still pretty young, but you've had a lot of experience teaching people who are older and coming to dance as they are older. And so I'm wondering, what your approach, I guess it's too vague of a question. I guess my question is about me personally coming to dance older. It's really hard for me to often pick up what it means to improvise or what it means to even do a step. And if you have, and now I do a little bit of teaching of my own. Do you have any tips for how to teach people who are coming to dance late?
Yeah. I could say a lot about that. You can teach improvisation. Like you can teach, there are skills and exercises that you can teach, and I do teach them, um, that help students learn the techniques of improvisation. So um, definitely too much for me to go into in our last 5 minutes here, but sometimes my Shanos classes focus entirely on this for, 6 or 8 weeks at a time, or sometimes I, even in the context of like a festival, I'll do an hour and a half workshop, kind of condensing it all in. So it's like about how to bring improvisation into your practice, and how to free up some of the fear around that. A lot of people have fear around that, around they want the steps and they can feel comfortable repeating the steps and going it over and over again. But there are like, it's like taking baby steps into it. You don't go into improvisation just like from nothingness. You have some structure and then you kind of break the structure a little bit, or bring in options, variations. There's like I have a whole palette of things I could talk about. Um, and I think it's also okay, especially like with your group, your community, no matter what age, adults, older adults, or no matter what age, really, just to acknowledge that like sometimes it's scary to improvise. Most of us, we like to know we have something solid first before we improvise or do variations off of that. So that's okay too, to just be in that like gathering and solid learning and repeating of steps phase for a while. But with Shanos, I think it's nice to say to people like, start thinking about improvisation right away. So even if that means like you're going to do 6 Connemara steps and then you're going to do something of your own for the last 2 measures of the tune. So I'm only giving you a 2-bar time to improvise. And like I don't even have my shoes on here, but I'll just do it in my socks. Um, so here's my dum da 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 dum da dum ba dum. That's the structure, and now you do something on your own for the last 2 bars, and do that over and over and over again. And that's like just a little moment of improvisation. So stuff like that can take the fear out of it, I think. And if you're in a group, it's supportive, because it's a little harder on Zoom, I think, because in a studio or in a dance class setting, I'd have everyone in a circle and we would come together and we would do those 6 bars structured, dependable, formulaic. We would do that over and over again, and then each person maybe could take a turn to do the 2-bar ending. And so it goes by so fast. Like if you screw it up, it really doesn't matter. Your turn will come around again soon. And then after you get comfortable with the 2 bars, then maybe you do 4 bars, and then maybe you do 8 bars, and then and you're learning the music that way too, and you're learning the phrasing and getting practice doing the transitions.
Nice. Yeah, I've found on Zoom, I've changed a lot of the things that I would rely on when you're in person and you can bounce and play off of each other, to be able to teach improv and pulled out some of the other tools.
Yeah, I think there are advantages to being on Zoom, and then there are lots of things I miss. I miss that experience of like the step about, that improv circle idea. I think that works so well in person to get the comfort level of like, okay, it's my turn. I dance quick, and then it's not my turn. Now it's someone else's turn, and now I listen and like maybe I learn even a little bit from what choices they made, what choices that person made. So next time it comes around to me, maybe, I like what Beth did, so I'm going to do I'm going to do her idea. Now, next time, Edith is going to do Simon's. There's a sharing that way, which is hard to get on Zoom,
Yeah.
but it's very interactive.
We've done a little bit without music, but just kind of creating a pulse and then passing it to the next person.
Did it work? Did it work
It does.
out?
Yeah. And there's not, the Zoom naturally picks up and then highlights that person. So you don't have to wait really for a pause or anything. You just kind of go when musically you would go if you had music.
Right. So with doing it without music, then you're able to just, it's like the feet or the speaking voice, and there isn't that that other input has the lag time.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've experimented with short, but it feels like 8 bars is kind of seems to be the bit that works well. Because you can kind of keep track of it a little bit in your head, and it's long enough to do a little something.
Nice. I know that Joanne had to go here, but Edith shared the hornpipe piece we were just talking about there. Thanks, Edith, for pulling that up. So you guys can enjoy watching that.
Yeah. And I'll put all those with the recording so that you guys can have access to that. Oh, thank you, Kieran, for coming and speaking with us. It's been great to visit and see you. Yeah.
My pleasure. It's really nice to see you all. And thanks for the interesting questions and conversation. Thank you, Malden.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully we'll see you again. If you want to join us next week, Randall Bays is going to come and speak. And he is largely responsible for the Kaylee dancing in Portland, Oregon. He started the Fun Club, which then had to change its name because it couldn't get nonprofit status. And it became the Kaylee Society. So he's been a big influence in Portland and all over.
Can you add me to the list so in case I can come and be a guest? Be just a participant?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and Simon's going to speak coming up next month. So I'll have a little bit of, And if you guys ever have a topic or something, let me know, because there's definitely the topics can be really exciting if you've got a guided idea or something that's really coming up in your practice a lot that you want to discuss further. Maybe even Edith's question could be a whole Zoom.
Actually, can I say something?
Yes.
I know we're out of time here, but another thing I've been doing in the pandemic is I'm a student again. I'm back in school and I'm studying polarity therapy, which is it's a holistic therapy. It's a form of body work and energy healing. So much more in depth than Reiki, but in the same kind of, field as, it's not massage. It's more like craniosacral work and a lot of anatomy though. So my teacher is in San Francisco. And so it's been an online course. But there's an in-person intensive, which is in San Francisco in late June. So I'm coming. And I'm getting on a plane. I'm vaccinated. I'm getting on a plane. I'm going to stay in a hotel. The whole thing feels really crazy. But I will be in San Francisco for a week in late June. And I don't know if there's any, I don't know what's happening, if anybody has classes that will be back in action by then or anything. But get in touch with me if there's any opportunity to do a workshop or anything fun, because I don't really know what the heck is going on anymore. Okay. So maybe I'll see a couple of you then. I know some of you are in that area.
Maybe dance in Gold Gate Park or something.
Yeah. I'd love to do some. I'm doing this intensive. It's 9 to 5 in the daytime, 5 days in a row. It's going to be a lot, but maybe in the evening we could have some dancing somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you, do you mind putting your email in the chat, and then I can have that, because I live in the Bay Area. So
great.
Yeah.
dancers@gmail.com.
Thank you.
And I have a website too. You can also find me there, just kieranjordan.com.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you soon and chat again.
I'm so glad you're well again. I am so glad. Yay.
I'm good. I'm so much better. I'm still like I still take all these supplements and all these herbs for keeping Lyme symptoms down, but I'm much better. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, bye everybody. Stay well.
Bye.
Bye.